Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
My friends and I always tune into the Todd Levitt Law Show. Todd is entertaining, informative, and always delivers the goods.
Todd might not tell you what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And all you got to do is listen.
Hold on, Todd. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Marijuana Law Podcast. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, podcasting from outside of the middle of the mitten, over the bridge, through the forest, away from all the ticks, along beautiful Lake Superior, a beautiful basin that it is, and the Black Diamond Group mothership, to the north that is, with my good friend Craig Russell, the Muscle, who is a troll below the bridge. Craig, are you a troll today?
Today I am a troll, and today you are not a troll. Today you are in the UP somewhere at a point undisclosed location, calling in on the telephone. That's how farly remote you are.
I have been shredding the gnar on single tracks all across the Upper Peninsula. This weekend was to be the Crusher, the 100-mile ultimate mountain bike adventure race called the Crusher, put on by 906 Adventures, Todd Poquette and his staff, or the 250-plus miles from Copper Harbor back to Marquette, Michigan. I was to do the 100-miler. We had reservations at a campsite for the past year, and we kept them despite the event being canceled in its entirety. So we've been up here shredding the gnar all across the UP, Copper Harbor, Marquette Mountain, Munising. And for those that are listening on podcasts, Craig, when I refer to you as a troll, I'm also a troll. What do we mean by that?
That means we live below the Mackinac Bridge. You know, the state of Michigan is divided into two peninsulas. There's the lower peninsula, which looks like your right-hand palm, you know, like a mitten. And then there's the upper peninsula. And people who live below the Mackinac Bridge, the bridge that connects the two peninsulas, are called trolls. We live below the bridge.
That is correct. And we open the show today for all the ladies of the 80s with Lips Like Sugar. And that goes out to all the ladies from the 80s because if you recall, we've talked about this in the past. Back in the 80s, all the young ladies, and we were young men at that time, were wearing that flavored lip gloss. And so when this song came out, Lips Like Sugar, that's what it reminded me of immediately back in the day. And every time I hear it, it reminds me of the same. So I thought I would throw this out to all the ladies in the 80s who had, had the big leg warmers and the Olivia Newton-John coats on, and the boots, and absolutely, and the lip gloss. So
and the big hair. You remember the big hair? The big hair.
Yeah, big hair.
Echo and the Bunnymen. I wonder what those guys are doing these days.
God, I love Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yes.
Terrific. So, Craig, we have a huge show today, undoubtedly. But before we get started, I have 3 things I need to talk about.
3? Oh, my God.
3. Yes. 3.
Okay.
One, and we're not going to talk about these in any particular order. One, Luke and Laura.
Okay. From General Hospital.
Remember Luke and Laura from General Hospital?
Yes, I do.
Luke and Laura. Number 2, hot dog.
Okay. Tasty.
Number 3, for those of us out there that have Dish Network, with the satellite dish.
Sure.
I want to talk about Dishscape. Okay.
Okay.
And let's start off with Dishscape. How about that one?
All right.
I literally am fried from, Hulu and Netflix and cable, satellite, network TV. I no longer tune into anything. I'm over it, okay?
All right.
Other than following my friends on Strava to see who's biking and running and swimming and doing what on a daily basis, that's about it. Now, Dishscape is a computer-generated visual program that Dish Network, the Dish company, puts out each month. And this month, it's of a farm that sits on a hill outside a small town. And so if I'm at home and I'm sitting in front of the TV or I'm doing something, I'm tuned into this channel where this beautiful, it is just stunning. I don't know how computers are amazing. There's a picture of a barn and a horse and a rooster and a little town and a horizon with an amusement park going on, and you have the trucks and the farm equipment going by, and it will change the time of day, Craig. So if you're watching it, it will take you into the evening, into the nighttime, into the morning, into dusk, dawn. It's amazing. But my issue with Dishscape is the horse never frickin' moves, okay? I can't watch it anymore. The horse butts up against the road, the 2-track dirt road that leads to town, but the horse, no matter what time of the day it is, never moves out of the picture, and I can't take that anymore. So somebody needs to get a hold of Dish, and redo the computer program and let the horse into the barn. That's all. That's one of my number one complaints of the show today. Let the horse move. The horse never moves.
Can I bring up an interesting statistic about something?
Sure.
The people who track how much we consume alcoholic beverages and also how sometimes that gets abused just did a survey, and they've discovered that most average Americans have spent about 19 days of the pandemic, which started about the middle of March. They've spent 19 days drunk during the pandemic. It's about 350 hours on average the average American has spent just blitzed during the pandemic. Now,
2 sheets to the wind.
Yes, and in some states, it's way more than that. The number one state of people who drink more than anything is South Dakota. They spend like 468 hours of the pandemic being just completely obliterated. Michigan is third, and I think you were part of the reason of that. Have you been drinking while watching this thing? Really?
Well, I'll tell you, Craig, okay, Dishscape, and people should Google it if you don't have Dish Network. No, I haven't been drinking. I don't watch anything anymore. I'm not on the internet. I'm not on TV. I guess I'm on satellite because I'm watching Dishscape, but the horse never freaking moves. Never moves. And I love the landscape. It's stunning with the stars and a little town in the background and the barn, the American flag. We love the American flag and the scape. And then each month it changes. You'll have a mountain scene or a beach scene, but the horse just sits there and wags his tail. We got to move the horse. All right, let's go on to one of our other 3 topics, Luke and Laura.
Okay? Luke and Laura. Okay.
I just want to say and this is a retro comment to all of my friends and family and teachers and educators from Berkeley High back in the late 70s, early 80s. I graduated in 83. What was it with Luke and Laura from General Hospital? You remember everybody had to run home at 4 o'clock and watch Luke and Laura?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, do you not realize, folks, that those were actors? They were on a stage, and it wasn't real? I mean, to all those people who were obsessed with Luke and Laura back in the day, what the heck were you thinking? I mean, come on, man. Luke and Laura? Come on.
They were probably the people who are now all obsessed with the dishscape.
No, not even close. So that takes me to my third topic of discussion, hot dogs.
Okay.
During this weekend, as we've been up here in the great Upper Peninsula of the great state of Michigan, we love the people of Michigan, and we love the people from Wisconsin and Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, not Illinois, Ohio, Indiana. You meet all kinds of people up here. So we were having a lunch the other day, and somebody was late coming back for our group from the grocery store with the hot dogs. And, they wanted to fire up the grill with a charcoal and, cook some hot dogs on the grill. Well, I happen to be a rustic camper, and I have what's called a jet boil. You know what not a boil on your skin, Craig, but
right.
A jet boil.
Right.
You know what a jet boil is?
Isn't it a fast-boiling pot that you can make hot dogs and things in?
It is exactly that. It's for campers, rustic campers. You get a little propane tank. You hook it up. You put the water in, and in a matter of seconds, it boils whatever you want to boil. Okay? I'm someone that boils my hot dogs. Like you go to a baseball park or a football game, the stadium, your ballpark hot dogs.
Right.
They boil those.
Yes.
Okay? And I've boiled hot dogs my whole life, and the majority of my friends in my party here up in the UP were absolutely flabbergasted, disgusted by the fact that I put 2 hot dogs in my jet boil. It took about 60 seconds, and I had 2 delicious hot dogs, unwilling to share with anyone because they were so critical of the way I was eating my hot dog. So my point is, my question, I guess, to you, Craig, is what's the big deal with boiling hot dogs? Why are people so grossed out by that? I mean, I eat them on a grill. I like them fried. I love coney dogs, Detroit coney dogs. I like Chicago dogs. But what's the big deal with boiling hot dogs? Who has not had a boiled hot dog?
I think everybody's had a boiled hot dog. I don't know what the deal is with them. I think it's odd that you're camping and you're having a boiled hot dog. I think if you're camping and you got a grill or you got an open fire, you just make the hot dogs that way. But, if you're at home or if you're making 100 of them for a sporting event or something like that, you boil them. That's not a big deal.
I know, but the majority of people here, my biking buddies, they think it's disgusting. Oh, I'm not going to boil a hot dog. I need to cook it on a fryer or put it over charcoal. That's why everybody was waiting for the other hot dogs because there's no charcoal put on the grill. But anyhow, so for everybody out there who has never had a boiled hot dog, why don't you try it? Hot dogs are already pre-cooked, and you might as well just heat it up a little bit, put it on a bun, put a little ketchup, mustard, a little relish, maybe some onions, have a hot dog, enjoy the weekend, folks. And, Greg, I mean, with everything going on in the world, our country, our state, all the other states, we're just trying to lighten up the day here a little bit. And, of course, we wish everybody out there, good health and all that stuff. But so how you doing, Craig? You got any list of things that you want to talk about before we get to the big show of shows?
Well, yes, I do, but we do have to take a break. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about boiled hot dogs some more, and we'll get into some actual law things, God forbid. That's coming up next on the Todd at 11 Law Show. We'll be right back.
Grace on the water, lips like sugar, lips like sugar. Just when you think you've caught her, she glides across the water. calls for you tonight to share this moonlight. You flow down the river, she laughs, can you give her lips like sugar, sugar kisses, lips like sugar, sugar kisses.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, podcasting, albeit from the Upper Peninsula on this beautiful Sunday morning, depending upon when you're listening to the show. If you're tuned in to 98.5 WUPS, it's Sunday morning, and I am physically above the beautiful Mackinac Bridge this weekend, getting ready to head south and once again continue my life as a troll below the bridge, Craig.
You are in a remote location. It is so remote you don't even have internet access. My God, man, where are you? Are you like in a tree or something? Seriously.
In a tree. No, I'll tell you, I'm somewhere between Copper Harbor and Marquette. How's that? I spent a couple days in beautiful Copper Harbor. Everybody should get to Copper Harbor if you've never been there. The trails are just stellar. We shredded the Nar on, we hit just about every single trail system in Copper Harbor. Just a beautiful little town up there. And then we headed south down to Marquette Mountain and spent some time in Marquette. On the way south today, we're going to hit Munising. Munising has some just outstanding bike trails right past the high school along the water there. You have to climb probably about 300, 400, 500 feet of trails to get to the top of the ridge there where all the trails are, but it's beautiful, Craig. But hey, Craig, we are a law show. We do have some law to get to, but do you have a complaint?
Well, I was going to say, all your friends who don't like boiled hot dogs, if they've ever had a hot dog in school, they've had a boiled hot dog. You've ever had a hot dog at a baseball game, you've had a boiled hot dog. Lots of people, that's pretty much the easy way to make mass quantities of hot dogs. And, speaking of hot dogs, a couple weeks ago was the hot dog eating contest. Did you happen to see that? Joey Chestnut ate 75 hot dogs.
I can't watch that. And, it makes me want to take some, cholesterol medicine and never eat another hot dog. So I've watched it year after year. But, Craig, I'm not watching TV. I'm watching Dishscape right now.
That's
right. And the horse will not move, okay? Don't remind me of watching anything on TV because the horse will not move from that scene on Dishscape right now, and the horse has to move. I'm just saying.
So you said we were going to get to some law. I'm going to put you on the spot. Can I ask you a question about law?
You can ask me anything you want, Craig Russell. Go ahead. Let me see if I can
okay, what? I know you've been in the UP, but have you seen any kind of news or anything in the world as of late having to do with the coronavirus?
I have not, other than I have not, no.
Okay.
I have not seen any law related to the virus other than the variant. Well, I guess let me stand corrected. Before we left for the great north here, God's country, there were mandates being put in place across this great country of ours by mayors, governors, and local officials mandating that people wear their masks in certain businesses and throughout various states. So that was it. That was about it.
Okay, well, here we go. Let's jump into this a little farther because this is like a powder keg. This is setting it off amongst people. Not only are certain states and certain municipalities mandating that you wear a mask anywhere in public, now major retailers, even in places that don't have mask in public orders, Walmart, Target, grocery stores, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Safeways, all these stores are mandating people have to wear masks when entering, even in places that don't have mask orders. What is the legality of all of this?
Craig, so in regards to, the first question, let's just talk about government in general. Okay. If a government, and not necessarily during, here's how I'm going to answer this. I'm going to answer this, and some listeners, some may be happy, not happy, but here's how I'm answering that question in regards to certain things that governors and mayors do on behalf of the citizens of the state and communities in which they live in. Before a government, and this could take place at any time in our history, whether it's during this pandemic, prior, after, in between, or whatnot, anytime the government puts forth a mandate or an order or a law, the first question is it constitutional? Okay, is it legal, and how is it enforceable? Okay, so those are some of the three issues that you have to think about. Is it enforceable, constitutional, and there's a whole bunch of other issues. Now, I'm not going to get into my opinion on mask wearing one way or the other. I stay out of the political fray here, but again, I'll just leave it with that. But with that being said, I do have, because we're not a political show, but no. I do have a number of clients who received citations for violating the original governor's executive order way back in the day when it was first put into place. And they are being prosecuted by various courts at this time. So that is something that I am addressing with the courts because I'm their attorney. So it puts me in a position now where I have to look at, the constitutionality. Forget about, I'm not getting into, the arena whether or not I agree or disagree with anything, but as a defense attorney, if I have a client who's charged with a civil infraction, a misdemeanor, and or a felony, my job is to look at the constitutionality of the action, whether or not, the prosecutor can prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And, the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, Craig, if you go to a jury trial and you're in front of a jury and the jury is sitting there thinking about, the case and thinking, maybe Craig Russell is guilty, and they're saying the word maybe. Maybe is not beyond a reasonable doubt. How about if they're saying, maybe Craig Russell he's likely to be guilty? No. Again, likely to be guilty is not beyond a reasonable doubt. Is not beyond a reasonable doubt conclusively. So I've got individuals, two of them, they both were issued tickets for violating the executive order back when it first came out. I'm now taking a look at, can the prosecutor prove it? Were they actually, violating the executive order when they were leaving the residence to go to the grocery store? Did that constitute violating the executive order? I would argue no. I mean, you have to eat, you have to live. There was nothing in any state in the country in which there was an executive order in place that said, if you're an essential worker, you're allowed to, have freedom of movement. If you have to go to the grocery store, the doctor, you can have freedom of movement. And then there's the constitutional argument, Craig. Under the Constitution, we have freedom of movement, freedom to gather, freedom of speech, freedom to do certain things. And, there's a lot of issues there. So I'm taking a look at a number of things in relation to these infractions, and I will definitely report back to the audience as soon as these matters are adjudicated. I'll discuss what I did, what the prosecutor's position was, and what the outcome became. How's that?
That is a fantastic answer, and here's what I'm going to tell you. I know you're not on social media, I know you're not on Facebook, but boy, you would be amazed at all the constitutional law scholars that there are on Facebook. I did not realize that just people that I went to high school with have studied constitutional law. Average everyday citizens are constitutional law scholars because there are so many people on social media who are telling you exactly what's going on, how unconstitutional this is, and how they're not supposed to do this, and how you cannot do it. It's like, really? When did you study law for 8 years and become a lawyer and specialize in constitutional law? Because you're now experts. It's the same experts who are also the people who, are telling you why you don't need to wear a mask, because, they're also doctors and they're medical scientists and they're
Let me just say this, back to the constitutional people out there making arguments on both sides, and again, I'm not taking any position here, but I have a lot of respect for people who are not lawyers that understand what their constitutional rights are. I wish every citizen out there would take the time to read the Constitution from start to finish, because it's an important document, and, you know, we love the Constitution. First Amendment, we love the Second Amendment. And there's a lot of smart. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Craig, and the tone of voice you're saying.
Yeah, I'm being pretty sarcastic, all things considered.
I'm not naive to what goes on social media or between family members and friends who take one political position versus the other. Look, as far as wearing a mask and staying healthy and getting through all this, I wish good health on all of our listeners and, you know, all the people of this great country. But as far as people out there who do not have the legal background that I do, man, there's some really smart people out there. I mean, Biker Bob, as a matter of fact, we love Biker Bob, and he's supposed to be on the show this week, actually, but we'll reschedule Biker Bob. But, I mean, he knows his constitutional rights. He knows that thing inside and out. And whether you agree or disagree with him, he's able to articulate some really good arguments. You see, I respect the people out there, and I respect everybody, but you got to respect people, Craig, who can study an issue, whatever it is, and are able to articulate an argument and be very passionate about it. You see, you don't have to step over the line. I mean, you can make a good argument, be passionate about it, and look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. It doesn't, whether you agree or disagree with it, that's the great thing about our Constitution. It affords us that opportunity to have our opinion. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there right now exercising their opinions on so many different topics and discussions. Again, I'm not privy to it because I'm not on social media. I don't read the newspapers. All I do is watch Dishscape, and they've got to move the horse. I got to get a hold of Dish Network. I got to talk to the computer programmer. The horse needs to rest. The horse cannot be standing 24 hours wagging its tail. Get the horse in the barn.
Before we go to break, is the horse wearing a mask?
I'm not going to get into the political fray of mask versus no mask on the horse.
On the
horse.
horse.
I just want the horse to go in the barn.
I was just asking a question. Does the horse have a mask on? That's all I want to know.
Not only the horse doesn't leave the stable, and the road, the 2-track on the way to the beautiful little town, is way too close to that horse. Okay. I'm just saying.
All right.
So for those out there who have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm talking about Dishscape. It's all I watch now on any type of platform. It's a beautiful, you know, in all fairness to this beautiful setting, it's just the Dish Network. Here's a plug for them. They do this beautiful scenic background, and this month it's of a small farm setting on the top of a hill with windmills and cows and the rooster going off and the tractors coming by and the weather changing. And it's just a really nice thing to watch with the stars and the noise. It's so realistic, but the horse never moves. And so that's my complaint.
I'm going to start a change.org petition to get the horse to wear a mask. That's what I say.
Oh, boy, you're not giving up on that, are you?
No, I'm not. We got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We will be right back with more coming up.
Grace on the water, lips like sugar, lips like sugar. Just when you think you've caught her, she glides across the water. She calls for you tonight to share this moonlight. You flow down the river, she laughs and
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting, albeit I am above the bridge in God's country, the land of the Upper Peninsula. Now, Craig, the Upper Peninsula, Steve Lato, who's a regular on the show, his
Yes.
family's from up there.
Yes.
And, there's Lato, whenever he crosses the bridge, he likes to stop and have a pasty. Now, do you call it a pasty or a pasty?
A pasty is what a girl puts on her breast if she's dancing in an adult establishment. A pasty is with pastry and meat and like vegetables and gravy that you eat in the UP.
Yeah, and the history is when the Upper Peninsula was first settled outside of the Native Americans, when Europeans and the logging industry and the mining and the iron ore came to this country. The hard-working men and women, they needed a hearty meal. I mean, again, I'm just going by what Lato told me, Steve Lato.
Yep, no, he's right.
And so I guess I don't know if it came from Ireland or Scotland or, England or the United Kingdom, or I'm not sure where they came from, but it was, a combination of meat, potatoes, vegetables with a beautiful crust. That's what a pasty is.
Yes, it's pasty, not a pasty. A pasty is something different.
Yeah.
Hey, you brought up Biker Bob. I was going to tell you something. I got to send you a picture. So I was watching professional bull riding last weekend because there was nothing else on because there's been no sports on forever. And one of the guys was riding the bull. And what do you think the name of the bull was?
Biker Bob.
Biker Bob was the name of the bull that the guy rode in the professional bull riding session. It was somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you, the Biker Bob that we know, would never lose against anyone riding. So that bull probably won every match.
Oh, it did. It did. It was he had to buck the guy off who was riding. I don't know anything about bull riding, but he was bucking him up. Yes, he won. He did great.
So here's an update for the listeners out there. Not that they care, but the courts. Most of the courts are still closed. They're still utilizing Zoom. Roscommon is open. I've been to Roscommon. Gratiot will allow you in under certain circumstances. Great Court, Gratiot, Clear County, another great court. Isabella, of course. Gladwin, Midland, Big Rapids, Reed City, Gaylord. These are all just great courts, great men and women. And big shout out to Big Daddy Danny Bain, Judge Daniel Bain out of the Brighton District Court. He is up for another 6-year term, Craig. And good news, nobody is running against Big Daddy Danny Bain. Danny got appointed by the governor, lover or otherwise, to fill a position. And if you know anything about Big Daddy Danny Bain, he's a 6'4", 320-pound Irishman who's one of the best judges in the state of Michigan now. He just became a judge about 6 months ago, and he's doing a great job down there for all the citizens of Brighton, one of my best friends. So big shout-out to Danny Bain out there. But the courts are still operating. Now, the Secretary of State, and this is really frustrating, Craig. You know how much I practice in the area of driver's license restoration.
Sure.
What's really frustrating to me is all the men and women whose licenses I've reinstated either restriction or full when we get the restrictions removed, they are having to set up these appointments, and in some cases they can't get into a branch office for 2 to 3 months in order to exercise their rights of movement and travel. There's another constitutional issue. You have a right to move, of freedom, and there's some people out there who feel you shouldn't, you don't have to have a driver's license to operate a motor vehicle. And I'm an attorney licensed to the state of Michigan, so I'm going to recommend that you do have a valid Michigan driver's license or a driver's license in whichever state you operate a motor vehicle in. But with that being said, it's not fair to an individual who has waited 10, 15 years and they finally get their license reinstated. And I don't blame the men and women at the DLAD or the hardworking men and women at the Secretary of State in Lansing or at these branch offices. It's just a function of the times we live in. But they're having to wait 2-3 months to get in to, exercise their rights to operate a motor vehicle legally. I mean, it's just really backed up right now. But again, these men and women at the branch offices, the hearing officers, everybody's working their tails off. I'm not, complaining about any of these people. I'm just frustrated, I guess, at everything going on and how difficult it is for my clients to have, to once they can taste the freedom of operating a motor vehicle again with that type of movement without looking over their shoulders, that they got to wait that long. I have a client who lives in Mesick, Michigan, over west of Cadillac. He's traveling all the way to Houghton Hancock to a Secretary of State up there, so he doesn't have to wait 2 months to get in and have an appointment with them. So that's still taking place out there. So there's a lot of bureaucracy that's backed up.
That's right, and it's this pandemic, and until we get it under control, because, all it does is the cases just keep going up and up and up. Some of these other countries that have squashed it, they've taken care of the problem, and we haven't done that. We probably opened things up too quickly, and people haven't taken it seriously enough. And, they're still expecting to start sports up again pretty soon. You know what I've been watching since I missed sports? Not only have I been watching bull riding.
Luke and Laura on General Hospital from 1982. Isn't that right, Craig? You were a big General Hospital Luke and Laura fan.
Well, I was, but I haven't been watching that. Not only have I been watching professional bull riding and saw Biker Bob the Bull kicking guys off, I've been watching wiffle ball highlights on YouTube. There's these teams in somewhere in Massachusetts that play professional wiffle ball, and these YouTube videos get 500,000 views of people watching them playing wiffle ball in their backyard. Wiffle ball with a plastic ball and a plastic bat, because there's no sports.
That's unbelievable. I can tell you here. Let me deviate from that for a moment,
please,
and update again the citizens of the great state of Michigan. More and more communities have allowed recreational dispensaries, and as I travel this great state, both lower and upper peninsula, I now see dispensaries opening all over the place. Barrington, Michigan will soon have a recreational dispensary together with a consumption lounge, so we're really excited about Barrington. I think Edmore, Michigan, to the south of us. I know Traverse City. I mean, you can, Mackinac City. I mean, you can go on and on and on now. Things have really changed for the better, and, I'm really happy about that. Reefer Madness coming to an end. So you talked about everybody drinking, but I hope everybody out there, whatever you're doing it responsibly, looking out for one another during this pandemic. We're going to get through this. Things are going to get better, and, I wish everybody all the best out there. But, yeah, as far as the dispensary, they're opening up all over the place now, and I'm really happy about that. So men and women, not only can they get their medicine, but they can get, other types of products. Casano, big shout-out to Micah, and Caleb and Casano Dispensary. They were our guests a couple weeks ago. Mount Pleasant, Michigan also has a new one on Mission right near Texas Roadhouse. Check that one out. There's another one coming to Mount Pleasant, Michigan. So things are really improving during this pandemic, Craig, on the cannabis front. We didn't have the 420 Canna Hemp Expo. Again, apologies for anyone that showed up. And we tried to get the word out there that it was canceled by the casino. The casino is open. Things are going well over there, but we have rescheduled ours until the week of 4/20, 2021. All the vendors, all the exhibitors, Denise, Scott Roberts, Denise Porlicello, Green Farms, everybody is sticking with us, and we can't wait for 4/20 to roll around in 2021, Craig.
4/20 to roll around. That was a pretty good pun. That's pretty good. Hey,
to roll around.
You're talking about these dispensaries and stuff, and you talked about Denise Porlicello and Scott Roberts. If it wasn't people for lawyers like them getting these people the information and getting them into being able to open up their dispensaries, they've done a great service for the state to get these things opened up and get these businesses rolling and get this. It's a vital benefit and a vital business in the state of Michigan. This is going to be something that's going to help out, especially in the times that we're in.
Yeah, Mike Camorn also. Attorney Mike Camorn, great lawyer. Chris Aiello, another great lawyer. Bart Forrest, Matt Abel. These are all I worked in Detroit for 12 years. I came up with all these people. I grew up with most of them. So, yeah, I'm really proud of all my friends. Denise Porlicello, she'll be on the show. Biker Bob. Little John listens to the show. We love you, Little John. Come back on. So there's a lot of great people. And we have a lot of great listeners, Craig. I mean, I have the benefit of hearing from a lot of our listeners that email us, call the office. We give them direction. We try to guide them. But I've met some great men and women that listen to the Black Diamond Group network of radio stations, not just UPS, but also Rock 105, 95.5, The Bear. What other stations are part of the family, Craig?
That'd be a Big Country and also Mac FM and stations like that. Yes, we appreciate everyone who listens, not only if you listen over the air, but if you listen to the podcast or you listen streaming to any of the stations. We appreciate that, and we thank you because that keeps us all in jobs and everything. Hey, speaking of keeping us in a job, we got to take a break. We'll be right back to wrap up the Todd L. Levitt Law Show when we come back.
Grace on the water, lips like sugar, lips like sugar. Just when you think you've caught her, she glides across the water. She calls for you tonight to share this moonlight. You flow down the river, she laughs and
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Staying out of the political fray, although Craig Russell keeps trying to drag me into it. I'm taking a high road right now, Craig Russell, because I am in God's country above the Mackinac Bridge, and, you get weather updates, you get pollen updates. I've got a bug update. If any of you listeners out there, which are most of them, if you've traveled to the Upper Peninsula across the Mackinac Bridge, which, as you said earlier, is the second peninsula above the Mitten that connects to Wisconsin and up towards Minnesota. The bugs are okay. I mean, we were up here for the past week, and, the black flies, there's a few black flies still flying around. The gnats are under control. The mosquitoes they're still here, but, typically if you get here the end of May, beginning of June, let's say the middle of May and June, you can't even step out of a motor vehicle at times. I mean, it's not like one or two mosquitoes, folks. I mean, it is thousands. And when the horseflies come out, you're in trouble. And when the gnats and the black flies along the beaches come out, I think all the listeners have experienced this. But if you're traveling to the Upper Peninsula for the first time, make sure you speak to a Youper or somebody that's been there to determine what's a good time to take the family so your ankles don't get destroyed, not only your ankles, but your noggin. What we do as bikers, Craig, when we wear our helmets, we put masking tape, double-sided masking tape all around our helmets, and at the end of our, 50 to 100-mile, these extreme rides, our helmets are filled with these flies. There's just insane amount of flies on our heads. It's disgusting.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anything you said. My mask fell over my ears, so I couldn't hear anything you were talking about. So.
Come on, Craig! Come on, Craig!
Hey, what about the mayflies? You got big mayflies up there? That's something they don't tell you about when you live by water, that there's those huge mayflies.
It's hard to focus on anything called a mayfly when you have something called a horsefly, and it has nothing to do with the horse in the dishscape that never leaves the stable. But these horseflies, I'm telling you right now, folks, they're the size of, like 2 quarters. They're huge at times, and they will attack you, and they bite, and they hurt. And there's not to mention all the other bugs, but the mosquitoes, depending upon, where you are at in the UP and how long it took for the snow to melt, and what type of, are you in the swamps? Are you in wetlands? Are you on high ground? Is it windy? Are you along the water? I mean, the mosquitoes can just destroy you May, June, into July. But right now, I'm happy to report that, it's free and clear up here. I'm telling you. I don't want anybody to call me and say, hey, Todd, took your advice, took the family camping, we got destroyed, and, you said the bugs were gone. They're still there. What gives? So, travel at your own risk in regards to the bugs. But we didn't get destroyed at all here when we were shredding in the backcountry, Greg.
Oh, they're coming after you, man. You've opened up a can of bugs. I'm just going to tell you that.
Nah, not at all. But look, here's what I want to say. There's a lot of legal issues on the horizon that we're going to be discussing in the weeks to come. We're gonna have a lot of shows. We're going to keep updating the listeners on all the changes in all the cannabis laws and what's taking place in the state of Michigan and in other states around the country, not just Michigan, and in other countries, because the podcast version of this is downloaded insanely in like 50 countries right now. I have no idea why, but so we're going to keep you updated on the cannabis laws. We're going to keep you updated on the THC breathalyzers that are beginning to be utilized across the country and the constitutionality of the search, because we argued this a couple weeks ago on the show, Craig, when an officer approaches you and is requesting your saliva without a warrant and some level of probable cause. To me, that's an intrusion into your Fourth Amendment constitutional right against, search and seizure of your person. And anything that has to do with your fluid that comes out of your body is your person, and you have privacy rights in regards to your blood levels. You have privacy rights in regards to everything contained within your human being. You see what I'm saying, Craig? Don't just think as privacy rights in relation to an automobile or an apartment or a dwelling. Think of privacy rights in regards to you as a human and all the fluids, I'm not trying to be funny or discussing, I'm being serious, that are contained in your body. You have every right to privacy as to what is in your body. And if the government wants to, get after what's in your body, they're going to need a search warrant or some high level of probable cause that rises to the level where they can ask you to submit to a test to extract those chemicals, which you have privacy rights of.
See, I would much rather listen to you talking about constitutional law and stuff than people on Facebook. I'm just saying.
Craig, you got to get off Facebook and start watching Dishgate. Because
that's right.
During our last break between segments, before Lips Like Sugar came back on, I put a call into the dish company, and they're going to move the horse out of the stable and away from the road, okay?
But are they going to put a mask on the horse? They putting the mask on the horse.
Listen, enough with the mask on the horse. The horse just wants to be backed off away from the road when the tractors come by. There was even a plane flying overhead, dust trapping a field. We live in a country, and one of the and I'm a city guy. I mean, I literally grew up off of 8 Mile for a minute. Then we crossed 8 Mile to North End. Then I grew up off of 10 Mile with the Berkeley High. But I had never seen a plane crop dusting, but I've seen it now a number of times. And those pilots are amazing. The way those planes just go up and down and around it's amazing what those pilots can do when they're dust. I don't know, am I saying the right thing? Dust cropping, Craig?
They're crop dusting.
Crop dusting, there you go.
Yep, there you go.
Big shout out to all the farmers out there. They work harder than anybody. We appreciate all the farmers out there. We appreciate all the vets and all the first responders and firefighters and men and women who are on the front lines out there. But big shout out to the farmers, because no matter what, they work 24 hours a day and they're feeding our country. And man, do I love our farmers, and they're amazing people for sure, and their families.
And that's a great way to wrap up the show. We got to get going.
Come on, Craig, what are you talking about?
Come on, Todd. We got to go.
Craig.
We got to go.
Hey, shout out to my good buddy, Cody Freeman. He's on his way back to Texas. Eugene's, best man there. So, Cody, safe travels as you head back to the great state of Texas. And we wish you all the best, my man.
Show's over. We got to go.
We're not here for a long time. What are we here for, Craig?
We're here for a good time.
We are here for a good time. Take us out with Lips Like Sugar for all the ladies from the 80s and my Jan. this one's for you.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, and attorney Todd L. Levitt, not just a litigator, he's an advocator.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.